Hey everyone, it's DeathFromAbove and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz, and today we are taking a look at the top video you selected last month, how to fight the Saipan. And I can understand why so many of you are asking that question, because that ship is certainly very annoying to be fighting against. It's got excellent fighters. And yes, indeed, there is absolutely no point in engaging them right away, but there are a couple of things you can do to tip the odds in your favor. You basically need to remember two things: the Saipan has excellent fighters indeed, but it also has the lowest amount of planes at tier 7, only 36, and it's only able to put out 5 squadrons of torpedo bombers. And on top of that, it's also got the highest amount of squadrons to manage, with 4. That's the same as the Hiryu and the Hiryu, if you discount the bombers that you simply send to your target. So basically, the Saipan player will not be able to manage all of his squadrons together, and since he cannot afford any mistake, or he cannot afford to be losing any of them, we will be taking advantage of that into the gameplay. That's what you are about to see right now. Part 1 of the video will be about how to deal with the Saipan when you have fighters. That's going to be with the Hiryu and the Graf Zeppelin, and next week will be how to deal with the Saipan without fighters, and it's going to feature a couple of Kaga gameplays. So without further ado, let's get going. There we are. We are not lucky with matchmaking. Top team, 1 Saipan, a Richelieu, Massachusetts, excellent AA ships, but that's the whole point of this video, is to show you how to deal with the Saipan that is played by good players. There is absolutely zero point in showing you a video featuring a guy who just bought the Saipan and doesn't know what to do with his planes, so I hope you will enjoy it, and it's going to go very fast, so bear with me. Immediately we avoid the direct confrontation with all of his squadrons. We do not send any planes yet, we're only going to send the fighters. Voila, there we are. We do not send any torpedo or dive bombers immediately, because we simply do not want to lose them. We want to see what he's going to do with his fighters. And apparently send his fighters to scout left and right. They are absolutely not interested in my fighters, so I'm keeping forward. And I'm going to focus on the torpedo bombers. So he's probably managing his torpedo bombers right now. He's trying to scout with his fighters, and there we go, we're going to attack them immediately. You see, he's trying to direct his torpedo bombers, and while he's doing that, he's absolutely not able to take care of his fighters, and that is what I'm taking advantage right now. I'm also going to send my bombers immediately, because he's simply not a threat to me anymore. For the moment, he's too busy with his torpedo bombers, and his fighters are going all over the place. And here we are, we've already managed to take down a couple of planes. That's easily 1 squadron taken down, maybe 5 or 6 planes. Let's see what we can do with the last one. Can't do anything because it's already too far back on top of his planes, and I'm not going to risk my fighters over the AA, but I'm going to try baiting the fighter squadron left and I'm headed on the right. And that's what's going to happen. He's going to pull back his fighter, so I'm going to follow them, see if I can bait them. In the meantime, he's also going to send a new fighter squadron towards the center of the map. There you go. So since I could not manage to bait these fighters on the right, I'm going to go to the left. I'm going to see what I can do. While he's pulling back his fighters on the middle, that's it, voila. He's not taking care of his squadron on the right, and boom, there you go, baited. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my AA kill zone. I'm trying to locate my North Carolina, because that's the ship where I want the fight to take place. And so concretely for the moment, he's just launched his torpedo bombers. He's not looking after his fighters, simply because they're engaging mine. And I can launch my torpedo bombers, and my bombers quite safe. They're quite safe, so there you go. The fight is already over against his fighters. That was quite quick against on top of a North Carolina, and I'm able to pursue my work of simply destroying its torpedo bombers. That's how it works. So that's how you basically handle a Saipan. You try to see what it's doing, and you take care of what it's not actually managing. There you go, that's me putting a couple of torpedoes into Massachusetts. Up, and I was managing my torpedo bombers plane, and I completely forgot to manage my squadron, but 1 squadron of Saipan versus 1 squadron of Hiryu goes surprisingly well for the Hiryu. It's only the 2 squadrons together that you cannot engage. And we're gonna repeat the same sequence. I noticed that there is a couple of ships on the right that are coming towards me, so I'm going to try engaging his fighters. He's going to pull back, and he's trying to bait me to take me to the edge of the screen, and while he's doing that, he's absolutely not protecting the ships that are flanking my team. So I'm running away. I'm a Hiryu, I'm a very fast and maneuverable ship, and I'm going to be engaging the Bismarck and the other ship while it's completely safe, because my fighters are actually taking care of this on top of the screen. While I was doing that, I managed to catch his fighters, and I'm going to position the fight, the AA kill zone between my Roma and my Amagi. The Roma does not have a very good AA, but the Amagi does, and positioning the fight between the two allows me to dispatch his fighter squadron quite easily. And now we can go back to killing his torpedo bombers, which is what we're going to do right now. And while I'm still running away, I'm going to keep targeting the ships that have flanked and that is absolutely not monitoring. Sure, this goes on because I'm always keeping him busy, so I'm always sending fighters in the vicinity of his fighters, so he has to pull back, send them back again, pull back, send them back again, and while he's doing that, he's absolutely not looking after the rest of his team. The Reaper is already gone down. I'm going to target the Bismarck as soon as possible again, and yeah, I might lose my fighter squadron in the meantime because I'm too busy focusing on the Bismarck, but that is the main threat to my team right now, and it's a threat that I can attack very easily, because if there was any Saipan fighter squadron in between us, that would be much more complicated, so I'm taking advantage of that. You do not engage the fighters right away. You always try to send your bombers where the fighters are not, and you send your fighters where the fighters are not as well, and where his bombers are. So you really try to actually split him in two, and that's what you want to be doing with that. There you go, the Bismarck is going to go down. Now my fighters are back in the air, and voila, there we go, nice. And we can actually hope we can catch, we hope we can get there early enough to protect the Roma, but that's probably not going to happen. Let's see what happens. Oh, maybe we can get a couple of plane kills, let's see. Every time you make one mistake, you get punished by it. So that's not an easy ship to play, and there we go, that's another fight that we managed to catch right on top of a battleship. It's a 1 versus 1 in terms of squadrons, so I'm just doing alright. If it had been the 2 squadron of fighters, I would have been killed, but apparently he's having quite a few issues to launch a complete team of squadrons right now because of taking down so many of them, actually with the help of my fleet. So my plane kill count is not very high, but we'll look at the result screen and we'll see how many planes my fleet has managed to kill. So for the moment it's a safe environment, there are no fighters in the air, the enemy is losing the game, so I can be a little bit more aggressive with my planes and sacrifice a couple of them. And there we go, the Saipan is still able to launch a couple of torpedo squadrons, but that's probably the last time it is able to do it, and my fighters are immediately going to intercept them. So we've done a very good job, we've taken out all its fighter squadrons, and its torpedo bombers are going to be finished as well. That's a 7 kill, that's very nice, and we can safely dispatch his torpedo bombers. And there we are, trying to score a couple of kills. He's attacking the North Carolina because that's the only target he can physically attack, and that's probably the end of his torpedo bomber squadron. So we're going to pursue them and we're going to finish the last of his planes. But the game is safe. Let's take some time to reflect on what we've just seen happening. So basically what we did was, well, we focused on dealing with the main weakness of the ship while avoiding the, I would say, the main advantages of the Saipan. So we did not get any direct confrontation with its fighters. We actually did one and we lost, and that's not a big surprise. But every time it was safe for us, we did send our bombers and torpedo bombers to attack a couple of targets, and every single time he was attending one of his squadron, we managed to hit the other one. So when he was pulling back his fighters, we managed to attack the torpedo bombers. When he was managing the torpedo bombers, we did manage to bait his fighters, and that's how you basically grind him down. You make sure that you are always constantly harassing one of his squadrons or 2 of his squadrons until he simply doesn't have any more squadrons to throw, and that's exactly what we're witnessing right now, a Saipan with no planes left. So we did quite well. If it's possible to do it in a Hiryu, you can basically do it with any ship which has fighters. We're going to see the same sequence happening against another very good Saipan player later with the Graf. And let's see how our AA kill zone plan worked. That's very nice, 13 planes for us, but 11 for the North Carolina and 5 for the Roma, the 2 ships on which we managed to have an AA engagement. So that's very nice. Let's go see the Graf in action. And here we are, my favorite ship, the Graf Zeppelin, against a Saipan played by Yoda, one of my friends, and he's actually, I just checked the stats, he's got a 70% win rate in his Saipan and close to 40-50% MVP, so he definitely knows what he's doing, and that's the whole point of this video, to show you how you can handle, I would say, good to very good Saipan players. Basically going to be repeating the same sequence. We're going to try to find out what he's doing and we're going to adapt. If he's managing his fighters, we're going to go after the torpedo bombers, and if he's managing his bombers, we're going to go after the fighters, and we will grinding down until he simply runs out of planes. So here we are. We do not send our bombers and torpedo bombers because the skies are simply not clear. We're going to send our fighters and see what happens. So these fighters probably directed them to the top of the screen, so they're not interested in my fighters, but I am certainly interested in his torpedo bombers. And let's try to take a couple of down before he reacts. So here we are, there we go, pursuing them, bam, and he reacts, and I'm going to pull back towards my fleet, and unfortunately I don't do that fast enough, but still I managed to get an engagement within distance of my battleships, and with 6 Graf Zeppelin fighters versus 3 Saipan fighters, it's going to be a very easy win. At the same time, he is not managing his squadron to the bottom of the screen, so let's see what we can do with it. There we go, we send our fighters. Do we get any reaction from them? Yes, let's see. Boom, yep, baited. So we're going to go back and we're going to set the AA kill zone right on top of our Richelieu, and now that we've cleared the skies of fighters, we're probably going to be sending our bombers quite soon. So let's wait for a target. There you go, that's the concept of AA kill zone in action. That's an easy win for us. The Saipan did not do anything. And we're going to go to the bottom of the screen. The fighters are on the right part. I'm going to send my bombers and my torpedo bombers where it's safe on the left. And I'm going to see, that is an excellent example of what happened. He was launching his torpedo bombers, and while he was doing that, he was not managing his fighter squadron, and I managed to pull him back right on top of my two Richelieus. And that is exactly the issue with the Saipan. The Saipan player has 4 squadrons to manage, and he cannot be everywhere, anywhere, all the time, and you need to be able to take advantage of that. We're going to do it again right now. So what we're going to do is we are going to send our fighters to the bottom of the screen, where the torpedo bombers are actually starting to attack my ship, so that's alright. Probably going to miss this strike, but we're going to take a couple of down because we still managed to get there on time. So there we are, the torpedo bombers are starting their routine. I'm going to engage them immediately. I managed to take maybe 1 or 2 down. I'm going to pursue them. And in the meantime, it's probably going to, you see, it's cannot be anywhere all the time. So he's sending his fighters to the bottom of the screen to take care of me, and immediately I'm going to pull back. Voila, there we go. Safely, and while I'm doing that, my bombers and my torpedo bombers are attacking the battleships on the left part of the screen quite safely. And he's going to do the right thing. He's going to take his fighter squadrons to protect the flanking battleships, and while he is doing that, I'm trying to bait, it doesn't work, but he's also sending his torpedo bombers to the right, and again, he cannot be anywhere all the time. So here I'm going to sacrifice my torpedo bombers. They're going to be engaged by his fighters, so I'm going to lose them, but while I'm doing that, I'm also attacking his torpedo bombers, and I can take a few more losses than he can, because yes, I'm in the graph, I do not have a lot of plates, but I still have more than him. So there we are, I'm going to be trashing 1 or 2 torpedo bomber squadrons while his fighters are actually attacking mine, and that's fine. Again, a Saipan player cannot be managing everything everywhere all the time, and you simply need to take advantage of that. Fighters are on the left, let's send our bombers to the right, and that's it, we repeat the sequence. So there you go, I think you're getting the idea, I think you're starting to understand how you can actually play against the Saipan. You see that it's a very good guy, it's a very good player, but he's simply too busy with his torpedo squadrons to be reacting with his fighters, and we're taking advantage of that. Yeah, I think we've seen enough, so that's good. I think the Saipan is a bit less intimidating now than what it was before the video. Let's close it now. So here we are, end of the first part of the guide with fighters. Next week will be even more fun because we will not have any fighters, but don't worry, there are ways to deal with the Saipan when you're in Yukaga. Guys, as always, it was really nice to make this video. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. I will be seeing you soon. Stay safe, take care. That was DeathFromAbove, signing out.